Well, this just seems to be my road today to come across things that I like to see. In addition to the 3 estate sales that are just off of this main drag, there's also an antique mall. Oh, and a National Historic Site. I've never heard of it. I've never been off the freeway in this part of the country before, and I don't know what to expect. They say they have a lot of retro and shabby chic, so it may be a lot of repainted and repurposed, but I'm hoping they've got some things I like too. Right inside the door, they have antique buttons. $25 for a card full of rhinestone. These ones for Gulf Oil here were given out during a presidential election, so you could pick your donkey or your elephant. Appropriate considering that we're in a presidential related town. Nice earlier buttons, 1920s and 30s. When you get back into some of the Victorian buttons, some of them can individually be 25 and 30 and sometimes hundreds of dollars. But a lot of people just like to buy these because they're bedazzling something or they want something different and novel to use in their sewing. Cute display in the lower case here. This is interesting. They've made a wine rack out of all of these old cans. Yeah, right. This is not a reproduction. It's a real dog bank. Looks like it's starting to get ready for Halloween. This is a handsome piece. It's early 20th century, but it's Edwardian, and it's a very handsome cabinet for $425. Lots of marquetry, all sorts of design. You know, if you're going to have fancy things in a cabinet, why not have a fancy cabinet to bring attention to them? They definitely have the memo about metal being popular again, and I see a few older pieces. This is nice. She's in the tray here, the dancing nude. This is a neat looking piece here. We see a lot of this camel, sphinx, pyramid juxtaposition of themes around the 1920s because of the discovery of King Tut's tomb. This one is by Haynes. It's the Egyptian pattern, of course, and this is an English ceramic piece. And they only have $19 on it, but that's because it's been repaired. Neat old schoolhouse clock for $45. So far, I'd say the prices are reasonable. The Gloria Swanson bed doll for $29 is a classic, and she's got original clothes. Oh, that wall has a crack. That's too bad. That's a nice anchor hawking orange tree pattern from the 30s. This lamp is unfortunately damaged here, but it's a nice clam broth color of milk glass from the 1880s, and they only want $69 for that. Here's a bunch of Kansas City Centennial glasses. They ended up using all of these motifs on other glassware that they sold later in the 50s through gas stations. Very cute little set for $59. They're by American Best. And the 19 teens, I think it was the idea that the monks made beer and we want to keep drinking beer, so don't make beer illegal. But they made beer illegal anyway. There's a whole lot of monks looking very pious drinking so that we get the idea. She's very cute with the harp. Unfortunate about the chip because she would be great for that price. And I see they've got $29 each on the old jars from the doctor's office, which is about what I get for them. Cute Roseville piece here, the Frisia. This is only $25, but it says it has a crack. Again, so important condition is. Now this piece I want to show you because it doesn't look right to me, and I'm betting it is a fake, and it sure is. Look at that mark. And when I say it doesn't look right to me, look how the daisies are very, very, very crisply outlined. That is too strong a transfer pattern for a piece of 1910. Transfers were more delicate back then, so I could just tell. Also, this is a funny white color in here instead of being colored like the rest of the handle. It's just not quite right. They did a lot of reproductions of Limoges and RS Prussia chocolate pots around 1990. And they really messed up the market for a while. So do avoid the reproductions. People just don't want them. So this cute little red phone says Art Thang Vintage Phone by Siemens. If it says vintage, it's not vintage. That is what we actually properly call retro, where it looks vintage, but it was made yesterday. Cute True Tone radio. In working order, they said, for $99. $59 on the GE radio. If that was a little cleaner, that'd be a pretty good price. They do have nice display here, I have to say. The stuff that they have is put together well. It's interesting to look at. I just am not finding a lot of old things that are bargains at this point, but I've only been through a little bit of the store, so I still have hope. Ooh, $8 for the red hat with veil. I have to say this one is very flashy with all the lame. That definitely makes a completely wrong impression. I have had rulers that advertise the Skell gas. Skelly was, I believe, out of Tulsa. Skelly is a gas and oil company, and for a while they actually made stoves. This is from the 1940s. There's the Skell gas label. I see the advertising rulers for these all the time. I've never actually seen a Skell gas range in person before. And they only want 189, so if you're trying to put your kitchen back to original, and you can cook on such a thing, which they generally still work, then you got something going there. I like the color on the enamel double boiler here. It's only $24 for that nice seafoam green. I wish they were all in this condition, but I like the graphics on this set. I have not seen this before, with a tall mint julep between a coffee and looks like a bowl of sugar from about 1950. This is calico fruit. Always like this pattern. This one is universal, and it's actually marked calico fruit. They often are not. Just a fun pattern from about 1940, and they only have $12 on this. But again, see, it was supposed to have a lid there. And then this piece, I like the little Art Deco handle up here. This was done by Crooksville. It's their bake-in line, meaning that you could actually cook in the oven, although you certainly wouldn't put the teapot in the oven. $20 on that from the 30s is a good price. Very pretty inlaid table from about 1900, 1910, very graceful proportions. I like the oval undershell. Here we have this. Surrey is a combination of carpentry and painting. They are asking $4.99 for it, however. These are cool because they've got the Canard line. Somebody took a big steamboat trip, and that label makes it really fun. They are asking $59 for the large one and $49 for the half box. You'd have to select all the pieces to go with this, but this is the original Superior Auto Garage, and I would desperately love to have one of these. This is by Gilbert Company that made the erector sets and things like that. Breathing asbestos may be harmful to your health. Well, yeah, it turned out it was. This is $39. A hard-to-find sign that appeared in the 70s when the dangers of asbestos really became clear, and a lot of it was removed from buildings, and then they realized that removing it from buildings was also bad, so now they just seal it off. It's very good at making things fireproof, but it's very bad for your lungs. This guy's only $49, and very fun repurposing, the four-eyed robot. Above it, this was a repurposing that was done in the 90s. A lot of people took hubcaps and mounted clocks in them with quartz movements and then sold the hubcaps as clocks. Well, this is Tom Hidden rather than Tom Kitten, because this is for Otis Hidden, who are distributors of all sorts of cabinetry and hardware and carpets and things like this. This is an advertising piece from about 1910 saying, when buy window shades, look for the label with the cat on it. That's one scowly cat. $18 on that. Not a bad price for an old advertising piece, and the frame is nice enough. You are restoring an old glamper camper, or possibly a Chris Craft boat, or something that would have used a wooden ladder like this. Well, here's a chance to get a vintage one. They are priced at $249, I believe, for the pair, and they date to about the 1950s. You could use it for a bunk bed, I suppose, too. Ooh, look at the big Toledo scale for $3.99. Nice blue and white display in here too, and this old cabinet is quite handsome with that. I like how they've changed it by putting stained glass in here. This is a very typical mahogany china cabinet that you see, or book cabinet, but the old glass in here really changes it a lot. It'd be nice if you could light that from inside, and they're only asking $2.99 for it. I think that could be interesting in the right context. Here's an original button card for Sure Plastic, showing you all the plastic buttons they're making. These guys are still doing metal. They say bakelite, probably celluloid actually. It is neat to see a place that's got a lot of good buttons. We come into here and there's another entire wing of this store. I see Carlton ware up at the top here. And this is open, so I guess we're allowed to look. They've also got some micro mosaics. Okay, let's put this down. It actually is saying this is Bestwick ware. I did not know that Bestwick copied Carlton in this manner, but there we go. And actually it is Midwinter, which is the third company. So we've got all sorts of companies in the lettuce and tomato ware. But the one underneath I'm pretty sure is a Carlton ware because the colors are not quite that same bright green. Let's compare this one. Ah, no, this one is Bestwick. Interesting. So now we know there's a lot of companies that made this and you can mix and match. Only $12 for the footed piece. That actually seems like a very good deal. That might have to go home with me. One of these just sold online for $30, so this is a good price. I see a little bit of staining there though, and it does go through to the back side, so I have to decide whether that is going to keep me from getting this piece or not. Cute display of hankies. I think this is a very clever way to display them. We see these old clip racks sitting around unused a lot of times. $2.25 each for the hankies is a good price as well, and you can see everything and get the one you want without destroying an entire display full, so that's pretty smart. I don't know if this is a newer Afghan or somebody just really had a very studied hand, but this is very, very organized and geometrically appealing in a way that most Afghans aren't finished like this, and it's only $25. This cute game board would be fun as a graphic in a child's room. When we see the green and brown and ivory, we figure that's probably early 50s when those color combinations were popular. You have to give somebody in the toy companies some credit, because in the late 50s when sales were down, they did decide that maybe girls should get some attention too, and they started making some things that were technically for boys, quote unquote, for girls. This is 1958. Sputnik has taken off, and all of a sudden the idea that science is hard and that's not a subject for young ladies to learn, well, that went right out the window, because all of a sudden it was important for everybody to have those kind of smarts. And thanks to that, we ended up with a whole generation of women working on things like the Apollo landing and other big lab related things in the 1960s and 70s. Peppy the Pinto toy. It's $99 now. This was actually commercially made. You can see they used some tooled leather. This is probably from about 1950 by Tots Toys, made in Wisconsin. Have not ever seen Peppy the Pinto before. I think he's very cute, although he does need some new ears for $99. In this tray of jewelry, I see a tag that says Sterling Toxco bracelet. It seems to be between those two large bracelets. You see the one with the pink and the silver, then there's a gold one, then there's a little skinny one, and then there's an amber, and the skinny one is the one that seems to be Toxco Sterling. At $19.50, that could be a deal, so I'm going to ask to see it. I also like these old Murano clip earrings. They're $13.50, but it's 30% off the case, except for sterling silver, 20% off. They also have a really neat Italian bowl here. So I see a few things in here I think I'd like to look at closer. A little bit of jewelry there. A whole bunch of nice sterling silver and some really good Mexican and maybe even a signed Navajo piece, that cup in the back there. I see a Czech piece that I like. So we're going to take a little look at some of the stuff in here. I'm going to take a picture of them really first, remind myself what I got. Well, they're fairly basic, but to get 2 Czech necklaces is great because I haven't had any Czech jewelry for a while, and I'm really happy with all 4 of those pieces. Just because it's so delicately done, I'd like to look at this piece. It is not a Bimini Werkstatt, it's not their same foot, but it sure has that feel to it, and boy, $5. It's so delicate and so nicely formed. I think for $5 I'm going to get it, and then hope I don't break it. These are Ken Edwards for the El Palomar. These say Mexico because they were tourist souvenirs, so it probably wasn't part of a big set originally. An old telephone operator's chair. They were very adjustable. They had to be because you had to sit there for a long time. A very stiff, high-backed, formal wicker chair from the 1930s for a child, $39. Well, look at this. What a great printed top on that Formica from the early 50s, and they've redone the chairs in a very appropriate looking pattern, and I really like that. $4.35 for the set. Well, let's see if we can find anything else before we go into the back room here, where there's a lot of books. Dainty desserts for dainty people, thanks to Knox Gelatin. And again, we're looking in the 19-teens, and we're starting to see a little bit of mellowing with Jim Crow, where we're at least representing black and white people doing the same things. Boy, cabinets are such a deal right now. This very nice looking piece from a 1920s or 30s dining set would have held the dishes at the end of the table at one time. It's got the glass pane door for display. It's only $185 in wonderful condition. You could not buy a new piece of furniture to serve the same purpose for the price. Two Kutani cats. Now, these can be very valuable. The one on the right looks like it's pretty new. It's got this very elaborate decoration. It's got an Imari stamp. It's got no wear. Let's see if the other one is similar in age, or if it's a little older. It's a little more of the traditional styling. This one has a gallery tag from Hallmark and must have been sold there. It's closer to the original, but it is still newer than I like to do with these. Neat old clock right behind here, though. That's just a handsome little case clock from about 1930. It's priced at $10. These are very hard to get running again if they don't work, which that one clearly does not. Plates like this are not selling big anymore, but this was Marmot china in Germany, and 1971 was probably the peak of collector plate collecting for these blue and white Christmas plates. So that is going to be a very common date. It's a Shawnee teapot. And this Shawnee teapot was decorated in gold. And that means this was a factory second, because Shawnee did not do gold decoration on their stuff. They sold their seconds, and then a gold decorating company would finish them off, and that way they could cover up any flaws with little gold pieces. And now collectors actually prize the stuff with the gold more than they do the regular Shawnee. So there's some irony. That's only priced at $6. For that price in that condition, I should probably get it. It's just really badly seamed right there. I think that was the factory second. And actually, that doesn't faze me. However, it looks enough like a crack that it might disturb my buyers. Oh, this flight is not turning out well. Ah, yes, the beginning of the bikini issue of Sports Illustrated, 1973. Don't just sit there. Looks like that's what she's doing to me. This very elaborately decorated piece is a 1960s version, but it is based on 1890s style Majolica and other pieces. This one has the BH Point main label on it and is also marked on the bottom. It's actually an H. Piquet piece from Belgium, and it definitely has the look of something quite old, priced at $35. We have another one of the Hager ewers in a less exciting color than the reds that I look for. Here's another piece with that BH mark from Belgium. They did a lot of stuff in the 50s and 60s. Actually, they seem to have a lot of things that are, like this is German here. So somebody in this area was definitely importing some interesting things and not just buying American back in the day. And so we have some interesting stuff to look at that isn't just American, although this piece, which is Fostoria Jamestown, is absolutely American and a good piece. Shotgun shelled boxes always seem to sell for the most of all the crates, and that's why you see a price of $68 on this one. These bottles are kind of fun. This one says 1960s Lima, Peru Aztec figural bottle, and I think that's all of those. $12 each. That would be a fun display to work around. This churn is a little different because of the octagonal base. Art Deco 1930s, priced at $38. And next to it, the arcade. That was a big name in iron kitchen accessories around 1900, 1910, and they made this coffee grinder, which is priced at $64.50. Green Depression horseshoe, half price. Well, that's because these folks have had these priced as sets and groups for a long time, so they had $35 on the cream and sugar. Well, now at $17.50, that's a pretty good deal. They had $96 on the 6 tumblers here with the foot, about $16 a piece. Now they're $8 each. Those might be viable prices because they glow under a black light. And the thing is, they actually are selling for the original price they had on them, so they definitely could be bought, and you could make money selling these for resale. You'd just be doubling your money, and sometimes that's enough for me, but I've got a lot in the car already, so I'm going to have to think about whether to get those or not. Remember K-Tel? They put out all those horrible compilation albums, and you could get a record selector from them to go with it. I see the ashtrays and little bowls from Rod's Steakhouse all the time. It's that Western cafe where it seemed like people took these with them. I have not seen the range size shakers before, so we're going to see if those are a good deal at $18. They may be, believe it or not. restaurant steakhouse salt and pepper shakers, and nobody has them. And the little 6-inch plates, like I usually see, are going for about $18 each. So I'm assuming a salt and pepper shaker together are probably going to sell for enough to make this worth buying. Piggy Bank is a very small company that printed Piggy Bank on it, and they didn't give us any idea who they are, but it's very lightweight. So I think this is Japanese. This is when they're just starting to copy the Forest of California. Fiore paperweight. Look at the stretching on the bottom. That is an indication of poor quality, so I'm going to avoid that. Vintage green glass dish that they have with this little nickel pass for the bus is Colorado pattern. This is one of the state patterns from about 1890. $11.25 is not bad for the little folded tray. You're my Waterloo. Is that a good thing? Northwest Japan, $7.50. That is so weird. I kind of like him, but his nose is broken. Darn. Cute critters and music boxes. These are going to be by Schmid of Germany. That's Peter Rabbit, under license probably from Bezic at that point. And Bashful, $19.50. Cute little vintage owl bank here. Really great eyes, $10.25. I have to say that's tempting. I do think it's a $20 piece. Boy, I guess Halloween really is coming soon. But I'm going to see if I can find something not scary in this booth, because it's 30% off everything. And there are some nice things in the case here, so we'll take a look there first. Cobalt blue footed vase. That one seems to have some sand carving. $49.50 minus 30% on that little German mesh bag might well be a buy. Nice piece of Majolica with the water lily. This is a Weller piece. This little pot here. They have a lot of flint points and things, but those are priced higher than I could afford to pay. Lovely pair of moccasins. They want about $200 after the discount for those. Tiffin satin glass just has such a glow to it. Do really like that piece. That one's about $30 with the discount. And look at these other pieces too. 1920s and 30s era Tiffin. Just love the softness and the way that it just has this glow to it. Not a blacklight glow, just glows by itself. Although it is possible those yellow pieces do fluoresce under a black light as well. Yes, they certainly do. You can see my little pen light coming right through it with the glow. So now I have to decide if I need to take any of these. And you see it does it in the mint green as well, but not in the pink. So the dealer priced the yellow ones like they were uranium glass, but not the green one, because they didn't know to look for the green. So the green one's coming with me. This attitude has certainly made the world a better place. This is one of these plastic fantastic paperweight characters by the Berry brothers in Cleveland. There were other companies like Paula who quickly followed suit. $5 on the Vintage Lawyer. And since this is where I'm headed, gotta take a look at these. They're 70s with the plastic, but they're only $4, and it's Beach Bend Park, and it shows everything else in the state. I think that's kind of neat. I think I might have to take those. By the 1930s, they finally were making black baby dolls as well as white dolls, and you can see a couple of composition ones here. Before this period, you mostly see folk dolls that are made out of rags and things. Nice displays of postcards and sheet music, and a bunch of Big Little books here. Shawnee Chihuahua. You don't see this guy sitting in front of the doghouse very often. This is a late piece for them. Straight razors, including the Bengal straight razor from England with the brown marbling at $39, and the Bengal with the celluloid with the nice design for $39 as well. This 1930s or 40s monkey bank tips his hat after you give him money for only $39. That seems like a good deal for that guy. Well, Elsie Bells was fun, and by sticking mainly to the places having the discounts, I found some good stuff that will make my collectors happy. Independence, Missouri is known for a few of its native sons. Joseph Smith Jr., the prophet and founder of the Church of Christ, determined that this was going to be the site for the temple in the city of Zion, and this is indeed the world headquarters for this church.
It is a pretty monumental piece of architecture, though, and my afternoon in Independence, Missouri has been pretty monumental, too. I'm so glad I got to take you along with me, and now...
If you enjoyed this video, check out this one. Also, click thumbs up to like this video and check the description for information about our Patreon, our memberships. We've got a lot of different levels with different perks and bonus videos and early content. Also, please do check out our website, theantiquenomad.com, for appraisal help, and we'll see you again for more adventures in the antique and vintage community soon. Bye for now.